Hi everyone, welcome again to Barker's Barbecue. Today we're going to be talking about Vortex cooking on a Weber kettle. So, Vortex cooking. You might be wondering what a Vortex is. So, this is one right here. So they come in lots of different shapes and sizes. This one here is a trapezoid style, very simple, 4 sides, weld them all together, very simple. You can get them, formed cones in a round shape that have been pressed. Anything that's going to sort of achieve this kind of effect, circular, square, rectangle, doesn't really matter. So this goes on the charcoal grate of your Weber kettle down the bottom. We'll show you that in a couple of minutes for the setup, but I want to talk to you about just how this works in principle. What the Vortex does is it corrals the charcoal into the center of your barbecue, forces the heat straight up into the lid in a concentrated small area, and it sends the heat around the Weber in a circular fashion. And what that does, it allows you to achieve a super high heat indirect cooking style. So there are 2 main styles of cooking in barbecue. Direct cooking is achieved when you are having your protein in direct contact with the heat source. So if it's a gas grill, it's directly above the flames. If it's charcoal, it's in very close proximity to the flames, getting direct heat from it at a very close proximity. The other style is indirect cooking. Indirect cooking is where you have some sort of baffle or some kind of gap or space, something to protect the meat or the protein from the direct sheer heat of the heat source, whether it be gas, whether it be charcoal. If it's indirect, it's got a baffle or some protection in the way, and it's getting heated by the ambience. And if it's direct, it's getting heated directly over the heat source, whether it be gas or coals. So it essentially allows you to achieve super high indirect cooking, upwards of about 250 degrees Celsius or about 500 Fahrenheit roughly. There's all kinds of things you can cook in a Vortex environment. One of my favorites to do, if you know anything about me, is chicken wings. Absolutely love them. This is my #1 favorite method of cooking chicken wings, and we're going to be cooking some today, along with a little something else. But I'll get you to come and have a look at the setup now, and I'll show you just how it works. All right, so now we have the Vortex in the Weber. Like I was saying, it goes below the charcoal grate. So you've got your charcoal grate down here. That's how it's sitting. You pop your grill grate just on top. Now, you might be wondering what this grill grate is. This is an ideal grill grate to have with a Vortex because the center obviously lifts out. I have used a Vortex previously in the normal Weber grill grates that you get, and it just ends up torching that center section. So for about 80-90 bucks Australian, you can get yourself one of these, which is called a Weber GBS, or the Gourmet Barbecue System. It's a pretty cool little thing you can get. It comes with a center grate that matches this grate style. You can also purchase different things that you can put into the center. So for example, there's a cross grate cast iron insert you can pop there. I actually use the cast iron insert for my classes when I'm searing steaks after doing the chicken wings. Link for those are in the description. But anyway, more about the setup. You set the charcoal up just in here, and you want to make sure all that charcoal is going before you start to close up and put food on there. If you don't have it all going, it's not going to get quite as hot as it should. And like I'm saying, with chicken wings, I like to cook it at least 250 degrees Celsius. There are a few different ways you can actually start your Vortex. I like to pour the coals in there and then use what's called a charcoal starter, and I'll show you how that works. But there's no reason why you can't get a whole charcoal chimney of charcoal going red hot and just pour it straight in there and off you go. Just as long as all those coals in the middle are red, roaring and ready to go, you're all set. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually looking to get some smaller bits of charcoal in there. That first bag had some pretty big chunks in there. I want to fill up as much of the space in that Vortex as possible with charcoal. I don't want too many big air gaps. I'm going to find some smaller bits now. Like I say, I like to get it as full as I possibly can. So let's get it lit. So this is my used and very, very, very abused charcoal starter. I've had this for about 2 years now. As you can see, the end, yeah, it's really copped it. Basically, I think that was probably done from a Vortex. But all this is essentially a straight through heat gun. Because super hot air comes out the end, and the airflow as well backs it up, and that's what lights the charcoal nice and quick. But like I was saying, you want to make sure the whole pot is going before you actually start cooking things. So let's get it going. You'll start to see this starting to happen. Another reason why I like to have a few of the smaller bits in there is because this allows you to allows those smaller bits to ignite quicker. If you've got really big chunks in there, it's going to take a longer time. Also, make sure you're careful of your eyes during this because some types of charcoal can really spit, so just be really careful. Once you start to see those flames, you sort of back away a bit, and then those flames will start to carry the heat through it and start to ignite all the other chunks. All right, although that looks nice and hot, it is nowhere near ready yet. So I leave this for a good sort of 10 minutes or so at least, maybe even 20, just to let this all come up and all get nice and hot. And you might wonder as well why I've sort of overstacked the edges a bit. You'll find that when the charcoal starts to warm and get thoroughly started, it does sort of shrink down a bit and they all tend to sort of pull together. So those extra bits around there are just to sort of fall in and fill the gap, just so the whole lot is red and roaring and we've got some good sustainable heat, because I want to be cooking for a little bit on this. And while we wait, let's prep some food. Okay, what we have here is a nice little lamb rack. So we're going to go ahead and prep this. So first thing I'd like to do is just work on the underside. We'll just get rid of this membrane on here. Now you don't have to do that, but it's just something I like to do. I'm quite happy with how this has come as is. Just going to do a little bit of trimming just to get rid of some of the little straggly bits. All right, so next thing we're going to do to prep this is we're just going to put a crosshatch pattern on the back here. So you want to use a really sharp knife. Now the other way. Cool. All right, lamb rack is done. We've got a little hole there, but I'm not too concerned. I'm going to go ahead and rub this with Greenwood's tree bark. Beautiful rub from over east. Perfect for lamb. So make sure you don't forget this section here. You want to make sure you get all the meat. I'm not too concerned about here because it's just the bones and whatnot. But yeah, make sure you get the sides as well, of course, and mop up your chopping board there with the end tips. Press that all in and we are done with the prep for our lamb rack. Now let's move on to the chicken wings. Now let's lollipop these bad boys. Beautiful lollipop chicken wings. If you want to know how to do these, the link will be right here. I've got another video on that. All right, we've got our wings ready to go. Today we're using Lane's Barbecue's Magic Dust on these wings. Perfect little chicken rub for this. Nice toss in the bowl. And we are all prepped. All right guys, so we've got the Vortex all set up now. It's been sitting for about half an hour. Remember how I was telling you before about how tightly I like to pack it? That's what it's reduced down to. So make sure you give a little bit of extra charcoal on the top, just to make sure it's got a lot of good charcoal in there, ready to keep going. All right, checking in on temps, we're sitting at 270 degrees, 275 degrees Celsius, or about 520, 530 Fahrenheit. All right guys, we're sitting about the 25-minute mark. Let's have a look. These Vortexes really don't stuff around, so that lamb rack is sitting right about where I want it, so we're gonna get it off and resting. These chicken wings are looking absolutely perfect, so we're gonna get these off and give them a try. Right, so these wings are exactly how I wanted them to turn out. There's that beautiful skin, crisped up beautifully, the bark. Have a listen to this. Super crispy and super delicious. Oh. Alrighty everyone, our lamb rack has been sitting out, resting beautifully for about the last 10 minutes or so. I think we're ready to cut into this and see how we're looking, eh? Oh yeah. Nice and pink, nice and tender. It's right where I want it to be, nice and pink and tender. Let's have a taste, especially of that end bit. Whoa. Oh, damn! Woo! That is outstanding. Would you have a look at that? Absolutely fantastic. Well, that just about wraps up today's video on Vortex cooking in a Weber kettle. Hands down, one of my favorite ways to cook. Chicken wings turn out amazing in them, so do lamb racks, it seems. So yeah, really happy with how everything came out. As I said before, it's one of those ways that you can use to get super, super high heat indirect cooking. I think we topped out about 290 degrees Celsius or 550 Fahrenheit roughly, which is great for those kinds of cooks where you're looking for that really, really high heat that your oven just can't quite put out. You could certainly get a bit hotter than that. You could certainly, have a slightly bigger Vortex. In fact, I will say that some Vortex designs I've seen around do have a bit of a slimmer top. I do find in the ones that do have a big wide open mouth at the top, they do tend to get a little hotter, so bear that in mind. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, and I'll see you next time.